This is the Thoughtful Travel Podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Kendall of the notaballerina.com travel blog. Every episode I'll share travel tales from several fellow travel lovers, and together we hope to entertain and inspire you, remind you of some of your own great travel experiences, and encourage you to hit the road again soon. Hello and welcome to episode 111 of the Thoughtful Travel Podcast. And welcome back if you're a regular listener and you've been waiting for a new podcast episode during my month off. Here it is, finally. I'm actually recording this during my month off, so to speak. I'm a few days away from heading out to Cambodia and Vietnam, and very much looking forward to that trip. But before that, I wanted to record this episode about my recent trip in northern Thailand. It was a really wonderful time and kind of unexpectedly excellent, I guess I could summarize it. So I'm going to talk about Thailand today. So by the time I get back from Cambodia and Vietnam, there'll be lots more to talk about from there. It's a real Southeast Asia themed month, I suppose. Now, I was lucky enough to travel to northern Thailand thanks to being part of the Australian Society of Travel Writers, and we had the annual convention in Bangkok. By the time you listen to this, it'll be quite a few weeks back. And then we were sent off in small groups to places all around Thailand. And I picked as my first preference for this trip to go somewhere I had never heard of. There were lots of familiar sounding places on the list of possible trips to go on, but I am always a big fan of going off the beaten path, and so that's why this episode is called Secret Thailand, because it was places that I've never heard of. And in fact, since I've been back and talking to people about it, places that kind of nobody seems to have heard of. I think perhaps Thai people, but not many foreign tourists. And that was really a special part of this trip. So it was just a few days, but we got to see the two towns of Phrae and Nan. They're in the north of Thailand, east of Chiang Mai, towards the border of Laos. And just a really special part of Thailand. And of course, the most special part is that we did not see any other Western tourists the whole time. On the very last day, in a cafe where we had lunch, I walked around a corner to head to the bathroom and saw and overheard three young Americans talking. And I was like, oh my goodness, other foreigners. So of course, me being the nosy person I am, I went up to find out what they were all about. And they were actually missionaries there doing some kind of church work. So they weren't tourists either. But it was weird to say, and they were feeling the same about us. They had seen us and thought, what's that group of foreigners doing? So I love going anywhere where you have that reaction. It also means that the locals don't have tourist fatigue yet. You know, they're still happy to chat to us and as curious about us as we are about them. So one of my favorite ways to travel. So, for this episode about Secret Thailand, I was lucky to be able to chat with a couple of the people who accompanied me on this trip. So it was a group of mostly magazine and newspaper travel writers. I was the only person who blogs or podcasts as their kind of main travel gig. So it was really interesting to travel with them. They were very well travelled, very lovely, very interesting people. So it was a real privilege. And two of them had a chat with me about our trip to Phrae and Nan. And the first one was Natasha Mirosh. And I asked Natasha to tell me something that she enjoyed or remembered about our trip in northern Thailand.
Firstly, I think the pronunciation of Phrae was something I never quite got my head around. It's a very uniquely Thai kind of pronunciation, isn't it?
It sure is. I still practice in my head before I say it.
We had quite a few different combinations of that, I think, a few different versions. I was really surprised by that part of Thailand. It to me, Phrae was the kind of place that people who really do want to see real Thai life would enjoy, But unfortunately, I think often people who say that, they just mean they want to go to a beach with less people on it, less
True.
Westerners on it. But if you really want to see a real true kind of piece of Thai life, and as you know, I mean, there were hardly any tourists. I don't remember seeing any the whole time we were there,
Me
which
neither.
is quite incredible. But I think my favourite part of that was possibly the indigo dyeing that we did in a village outside of Phrae. It was quite extraordinary. I'd never thought of the process of indigo dyeing before, and the idea that it comes from that small plant. And the very kind of hands-on, unmechanical process of doing it. You know, these ladies who are so skilled at tying up the cloth and putting pegs here and there, you know, to make these incredible patterns, and that, you know, a little green plant like that can turn out this beautiful, beautiful colour. And it's fascinating when they pull it out of the liquid that they've made out of this plant to it's green, and gradually as it hits the air it turns that gorgeous indigo purple. And I bought 2 pieces of indigo clothing there that I'm so in love with. So I'm really happy. That was a great part of the trip for me.
I thoroughly enjoyed that too. I love any chance to do something hands-on. And I agree, it was fascinating when they showed us the plant, and as this, you know, very ordinary looking little plant. I think, wow, to think that such an important and incredible product can come out of that. It was really fascinating. I agree.
And I kind of, it made me wonder how often that process is used really in clothes manufacture these days, or is it obsolete now, except for these little small pockets. But I think, you know, whatever the case was, we were really privileged to be able to see it and have a go at it. Like you said, there's nothing like getting hands-on and really, you know, meeting the locals. And even though there's that language barrier, you know, you still kind of muddle through and learn something fascinating.
Yes, exactly. I still managed to get enough instructions to figure out how to dip my scarf in the dye without getting too covered in purple myself. So
yes, it doesn't look like it would come out easily if you got it on your clothes.
No, so I actually ended up with a little drop of that indigo dye on my foot. And despite scrubbing,
like a tattoo,
like a tattoo. It stayed for, well, sadly it's gone now, but it did stay for quite a few days. So it was quite funny. Yeah. I could look down and see, yes, there's my indigo tattoo, but it did disappear. But still. Is there another part of the trip that you particularly enjoyed?
Oh, look, the temples in Nan were absolutely incredible. You know, sometimes on a holiday you can get church fatigue or temple fatigue. I didn't feel that at all, because each of them was so different. And again, the fact that there were no other tourists there, it was only the locals coming to use the temple as, you know, as it's meant to be used, to come and pray and leave offerings. And the architecture was just incredible. And at one of them, Wat Pong Sunan, I think it was called, I met the abbot, and he just came up and started talking to me, and he was this gorgeous kind of jolly-faced man who had studied in Birmingham, I think, which is kind of random, and he was really interested in having a chat, finding out who we were there and what we were doing. And, you know, he gave us all those little medals. I don't really understand what they are. They're like little kind of medals with a Buddha printed on them. I'm not sure if they're just like a good luck charm or what we do. Do you know?
I don't know either, but I'm going with that it's a good luck charm, because I'm sure it's good for us.
It was fascinating talking to him. And again, you know, sometimes when you travel to places like that, you know, those poor monks are so photographed and, you know, tourists in their face all the time. So to go to somewhere that, you know, they actually approach you because they're really interested, because, you know, they're not seeing tourists every day and they really want to know where you're from and what you're doing. When I left, as you remember, we all gave him our business cards. And he's now my Facebook and Instagram friend.
That is so fabulous. I love that.
It is. It's a little bit worrying, though, because I keep kind of censoring myself now, going,
the monk's watching, or the abbot's watching.
But my friend, who's a Buddhist, said to me, he will accept you as you are.
This is what I like about Buddhism. I think they're very accepting of many things, which seems a good strategy to, you know, to approach life with.
It absolutely is. And, of course, the other thing, I know I'm being a bit greedy having 3 favourite things.
You may. It was a great trip.
Yeah. I absolutely loved the markets in Nan as well. I thought that they're one of the best markets that I've been to, in the sense they were absolutely genuine. You know, they're just gorgeous produce market. I mean, the stuff was so fresh, and a lot of it, you know, I'd never seen or smelt or tasted before. I had no idea what it was. A few of the stall holders were really keen to practice their English, often quite limited English. So we had a go at trying to decipher what some of the things were. But again, just walking around, I mean, when you go to markets in Europe or, you know, South America, it's packed with tourists who, you know, it's been put in the guidebook and everybody goes there, and it loses something. This was like, you know, a morning supermarket shop for the locals. It's there. It starts really early. They come and get everything they need for that day's meal, and then they go home and pack up. You know, it's not a farmer's market. It's not swanky and posh. It's just really real.
It's just everyday life.
Yeah, it is. And it's fascinating having that little kind of insight into how people live and how they cook. And I wish actually that I had someone with me who could tell me a little bit about what the produce was and what I could do with it.
Yes.
Not that I can probably get it here. But,
no, but just to learn about some of those ingredients that we just didn't know, that would have been fascinating. I agree.
Of course, and because the food was so fabulous everywhere we went.
Yeah.
You know, it would be nice to try to emulate some of those dishes.
Yes. Oh, we'll just have to go back there. That seems to be the easiest way.
I think so. I did put on 2 kilos while I was there, though. So
yes, I put on a little weight too. I was quite disappointed.
It's that eating breakfast, lunch and dinner every day, you know, and big meals every day, rather than the food being so bad for us, because it's quite lovely and fresh, really.
Absolutely. Yes, it wasn't unhealthy food. It was just a quantity problem. Yeah. Yes.
So ungreed, really, isn't it? We could say no.
We could say no, but it would be impolite.
Let's stick with that.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, especially the fact that you mentioned there were no other tourists around meant that locals were always still interested in us, like both at the temple and at the markets and so on. I remember at the temple when we were speaking to the abbot that the novices were all taking pictures of us. So,
yes.
You know, it kind of goes both ways. We were as fascinating to them as they were to us. And I think it's a really special chance to be able to travel and see places like that where tourists are not annoying yet.
Yeah, I wasn't actually paying as much attention as you, obviously, because I didn't realise they were taking photos. But the abbot sent me a private message of all these photos of me that the novice had taken. So I was like, brilliant. Oh, God, you know, the kind of great impromptu sort of photos where I've got my mouth open and, you know, pulling all kind of weird faces because I don't know I'm being photographed. Exactly. But I thought it was sweet of him anyway.
Oh, how lovely. Yeah, that was a special day. Gorgeous.
What about you? What's one of your favourite places? Memories?
I have to actually agree with you on the indigo dyeing, but also on the last day when we went to I have to check its name, but when we went to make the flower cone offerings, so I got to sit with Auntie Pat at the end there, and I love doing that kind of thing. I'm not really good at art, but I quite like doing a crafty thing, and I was really determined to learn how to fold those banana leaves well. And I finally got the hang of that, and so I was quite proud of that. She was just gorgeous to sit with, and I came home and started making them because she said to me, in Australia you can make them from paper, and I was like, oh yes, I've got all this origami paper. So I started making them with my son here once we came back and made our own flower cones, flowers from the garden. So I just love that chance where you get to sit with people and do something that they know about. I think that's a really special kind of activity.
Very impressive that you managed to do that. And I loved how patient they were with us, but you could see, you know, ours would have a little giggle all the time at our ham-fisted attempts to make anything, and you could see that they're kind of thinking, oh my God, these Westerners are so dumb.
I know, so incompetent.
But they were very polite about it.
Yes,
very sweet.
Yes, absolutely. I remember the same feeling at the indigo dyeing because you were not on our table of when we tried to do yes, you were very wise because we were all trying to do that very difficult flower pattern, which none of us really achieved, but the lady who was demonstrating for us just had a way of not saying it, but you could tell she was thinking, oh my goodness, they really can't do this at all.
So uncoordinated.
Or she'd pick up someone's and say, no, and then undo it all and do it again. But we needed a bit more practice, I suppose. Then we'd be.
They were very motherly, weren't they?
Yes.
In their care for us, you know, they almost wanted to pat us on the head and go, "Good try," but you know, here, let me do it for you.
I definitely have to agree with a lot of Natasha's memories there, and that the indigo dyeing was a really special experience, as was the flower cone making. I love seeing those kind of things in action, and to get the chance to be hands-on and having a go and chatting to the locals while we do it. It's a different experience to just, I don't know, going up to talking to someone in the street when you're physically doing something together. I think it's it's just a really lovely experience. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, my next guest today is Caroline Gladstone, who was also with us on the trip and had some similar things to say, but also highlighted a few of the other really fabulous things we did on our secret northern Thailand trip.
One of the most exciting things, was getting up early to go to the Nan markets to give alms to the monks, which is a daily ritual, I suppose. And but over the years, this is the second giving of alms I've done, and I think over the years it's become perhaps more and more commercial in the big towns. But one of the good things about Nan, which is a small town, is that it's still fairly, I'd say, traditional, not hordes. Mind you, lots of people still taking photos, but I think it still might have a bit of that authenticity.
I had that feeling too. Certainly we were the only Western tourists there, weren't we?
We were. There was a chap seemed to be videoing in the back. Did you notice him?
Oh, no, I didn't. There was very observant.
Oh, there was a guy with a fairly serious-looking camera. So I thought, I don't know. I didn't know whether that was a film crew guy or whatever. Yeah, there was so much.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was so much going on that morning. No sooner had we brought given our little offerings that the monks arrived, and we had to kneel down, and then they were off to their next, person who was giving them their alms. Yeah, their offerings of rice and, even sweets, even, lollies and stuff. Yeah.
I know. They got quite a good little deal there. I expected it to be something more sparse, but fair enough.
No, I've been watching a few videos actually about almsgiving, and they seem to, in the bowls, seem to go the rice or little packaged up sticky rice and those sort of traditional meals, and then they might be given a chocolate bar. And that goes in the canvas bag.
It doesn't seem very monk-like, but I love chocolate. Why can't a monk like chocolate too?
That's right. We notice they have mobile phones, some of them, and they're on Facebook, so.
That's true. Yes. I must remember all of the world is changing, not just us.
That's right. Yeah. So that was good. And it was quite interesting. Some monks were on their own. I noticed a few, like the young ones wandering, and then others, they start in single file. And I read that the most senior monk is always at the front. And then it was just slightly random as to, didn't you think?
I thought it was all quite random, but in a lovely, a lovely random kind of way.
In a great brush of saffron and brown and gold, the different colours of the oranges. So, I was a little bit confused about whether, the youngsters, the little ones, have to wear the bright orange, and the older experienced guys tend to wear like the tan, the darkish russet colour. I don't know.
Yes, I was wondering the same. Did you see that much older monk who sat on his kind of bicycle / wheelchair?
/ rickshaw, yes.
/ rickshaw, yes, exactly. Yes,
I have a photo. Yes, I have a photo of him as well. Yeah, he was. Yeah, I suppose he's earned the right to be sitting down.
I guess so. Yes, he looked quite elderly, but he still gets out there, I guess, every morning. So good on him.
I believe, according to my research, that they can eat 2 meals a day. So after they have received the alms, they go back to the temple. And, of course, Nan's got quite a few temples, and share it around. So there'll be monks back at the temple, I imagine, who are too old or due to go out. And then whatever's left over, can go to the poor people, and then the stray cats and dogs and birds that hang around the temple. Yeah.
I wonder who gets the chocolate bars.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think, well, let's not go there. Yeah.
They're probably fought over. Oh, but that was a really lovely morning. It was. Definitely worth getting up early for.
All right. 5:30. Yes. They get up as soon as the light hits their room, and I read this on 2 websites where if they can see the hair on the back of their hands, that's when they've got to get up.
Oh.
or arms, because maybe they don't have any hair on the back of their hands.
I wonder. Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah, so there's no, waxing the night before. No, I can't see any. Oh, that's weird.
They would never get up. That's how to get a sleep in.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, that was a very special morning. What else did you enjoy about our trip to Thailand?
Well, I actually enjoyed going to the market straight after that because I've been to a lot of markets in my travels over the many years, and a lot of them are just too bustly and I can't wait to get out sometimes. But this one was chilled, and I thought the variety of things on offer were really interesting. And we actually, one of the other girls on the trip, she bought some of these like hot cakes straight off the griddle. I think, it's better, I don't know. They were made out of, basically coconut and very sweet, and you pour them in to almost like a little, as if you were making miniature cupcakes, and they were cooking. And so, I felt that it was a friendly little market, not too big, not too pushy, and the traders were sort of relaxed enough to smile at us rather than feeling like we were in the way as, tourists, So I really enjoyed that market after the many I've seen over the years. Yeah, and with markets food, I thought the food was so totally amazing in northern Thailand. So slightly different to other Thai meals. Not as sweet, which was good. Not as much.
That's true.
Yeah, a lot
very
of
tasty.
Yeah, I've done a few Thai cooking courses in Thailand, and they do use an awful lot of sugar, But I felt that the meals that we ate, and we ate a lot, the sauces weren't as thick or as dense or, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot more emphasis just on that lovely fresh produce kind
That's
of thing.
right, and maybe a little bit of, the oil that they stir-fried in and what have you, rather than... Yeah, I thought it was great. The food was beautiful.
Oh, the food was lovely. I really enjoyed that, and we did eat a lot. But you have to.
Oh, yeah, you got
be
to
polite,
You have to. Especially when
to get a good taste for it.
Yeah, I can't think of any of the dishes. There was some interesting fish dish. That's right, where they cut up into little cubes, and we rolled. I think we rolled that in that type of leaf, didn't we? And then we added.
They were delicious.
And then we added little spices and various herbs, I suppose. It's a bit like building your own taco,
Yes, that's what I thought of it, like a Thai-style taco.
Yeah. And that was beautiful. And of course, who could miss the dessert at that amazing dessert place in Nan? I think it's called Pa Nim. I read it.
Oh, very good. I don't know.
And the lady, I wrote it down last night. Now, Pa, P-A, Nim, N-I-M. And basically that just means Nim is her name, and I think that's Auntie Nim.
Aha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The creator of this amazing dessert.
Yeah. I think I could probably recreate that, if I could find... I can't even really cook. So it's just black sticky rice, which you cook up and, see how sticky it gets. And then a scoop of coconut ice cream, unbelievable. And then beautiful fresh mango chopped up. And then drizzle that with the good old carnation milk. That's what they did.
Oh, it sounds so simple, but that belies how amazingly delicious that combination was. Oh, I wish I could have some right now.
Me too, actually, yeah. It'd be good for my sore throat. But yeah.
Yes. That was truly delicious. And what a lovely little spot up there.
Oh, yeah, lovely. Yeah, people come from Bangkok to go to Pa Nim, I read or was told.
Yes, it's apparently quite famous, isn't it?
Yeah, they're pretty well rated on TripAdvisor. I had a look at that. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't looked. Oh, I must have a look. Oh, wow. Yeah, interesting. It's funny, the little, it seems like a fairly out of the way place to go for a dessert, but I can understand why. It was so delicious.
Yeah, I suppose it'd be like us flying to Melbourne. I mean, it's only an hour to fly from Bangkok to Nan. So I suppose you would, I don't know whether you'd especially go for the dessert, but if you had relatives,
you would make the effort to get to the dessert place while you're there.
Because I'm pretty sure there would be other dessert places in Thailand.
Definitely. But that was a particularly delicious one. That was a lovely evening we had there.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and part of that is also that when you get to travel, I don't often travel with a group, but it sometimes can be quite lovely to have those shared experiences in a small group.
Oh, yeah, it's good fun, especially when we were dancing in the back of the disco bus.
Oh, yes, that was a great night.
Yeah. Should we tell people what the disco bus is?
Please explain the disco bus. It definitely needs some explanation.
Well, I think visualise a small minibus as if you people mover or whatever you want to call those things, where you've got a big family or, you go on a small trip and everybody piles into the van. Well, this one is a van, but it has interesting painted frescoes, or it's not really the right word, on the ceiling.
No, but that does evoke the kind of what it was like, yes.
And then along the ceiling and around it, it lights up when you hit buttons, I imagine, from the front. So, and at the same time, the driver can play, rock and roll and pop music. And what was that famous Korean?
Oh, Gangnam Style.
Yes. I always mispronounce that, so I thought I'd throw that one to you. And we were all dancing in the back seat. There's 3 of those disco buses in Nan, N-A-N. I kept calling it Nam, which is pretty amazing seeing. I have never seen one in my life. And I
you go to this out-of-the-way place in Thailand, and there they are.
Yeah, with 20,000 people, and they have 3 disco buses. Yeah. Disco minivan people movers. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And while we're eating our dessert, the driver was specially picking out some music for us.
Yep.
Oh, that was an evening to remember. I was really glad that Caroline talked about the food as well. We had amazing food in northern Thailand, up in Phrae and Nan, and amazing dessert at Panim. And also she had to mention the disco bus experience. One of those times when you're in a small group and it's one of those experiences you kind of have to be there to appreciate just quite how much fun we had. It was very memorable and something that I will always associate with northern Thailand, strangely enough. So anyway, I hope you can gather from those chats that all of us had a fabulous time exploring Phrae and Nan. And if you do want to discover somewhere a little bit or quite a bit off the beaten path in Thailand, it's still easy to get to. We flew into Phrae from Bangkok and out of Nan from Bangkok, and like an hour or so for each flight. It was really simple to get there. And there's actually great tourist infrastructure because a lot of local Thai people holiday there or go sightseeing up to the temples and stuff. So lots of stuff to see, easy to get around, but not many Western tourists. So if that's your thing, well, I shouldn't probably tell you because otherwise that thing will change. But anyway, that's my experience. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to episode 111 of the Thoughtful Travel podcast. I would love to thank especially my 2 wonderful guests, Natasha and Caroline. You can find Natasha at natashamirosh.com. And she has just very recently launched her podcast with a friend. It's called the Extra Virgin Podcast. It's about travel and food. And you can find it on iTunes or at extravirginpodcast.com. And also thanks to Caroline Gladstone. And you can find Caroline's website at Caroline's Cabin Fever, which is an awesome name. She writes a lot about cruising, hence the cabins. And it's at carolinescabinfever.com. In the show notes, I will also leave links to my blog posts about Phrae and about Nan. I have lots of photos and other info in there because they're just beautiful, beautiful parts of Thailand. I can't wait to get back and explore them in more depth one day. And I also would encourage you to come along and join our Facebook group for Thoughtful Travellers. Just search Thoughtful Travellers in Facebook or use the link in the show notes. And these show notes that I keep raving on about will be at notaballerina.com/111 for episode 111. It's good to be back after the break. I hope you enjoy having the podcast back on the airwaves. And thank you again very much for listening. This has been another episode of the Thoughtful Travel Podcast. Show notes and other information are at notaballerina.com/podcast. Join me again soon for another chat about why we travel. Bye for now.